much being made about Peyton Manning giving himself up. I just think, speaking as a 46-year-old man that's not a quarterback in the NFL for as long as Peyton Manning, that just looks like a man who's close to 40 trying to just get up off the ground. Steve Mariucci, wouldn't you agree? It just takes a while to get yourself up off the ground.
Did they ask Peyton about that in the press conference? Because I didn't see his response as far as, were you giving yourself up, sliding, and expecting to stay down?
He definitely did not say he was giving himself up. But look, he's not Russell Wilson spry, but he did do something which is Russell Wilson-like, which was, get up and make a play down the field. Let's start with that. Steve Mariucci here on the Rich Eisen Show. Kurt said after watching the film already of that game that Manning was masterful. He called it a masterful performance. How would you assess Peyton Manning's performance on Sunday?
Wow, Kurt's handing out compliments all over the place.
I know.
Maybe it's a New Year's resolution for Kurt, huh?
I know, yeah.
You know what? I thought he was tough. I thought he was smart. I thought he was on top of the game. I thought he played in his style of offense, Gary Kubiak's style of offense. He did what he had to do. He's taking care of the ball. He's being smart. That was a tight fit right there. But you got to root for a guy like that because, he's playing hurt. We all know that. It was a tough day, and he was also playing against the wind. The wind was a factor in that game. And so he found a way to do it. That touchdown run was a quick call on the line of scrimmage to put it in from 1 yard out. Look at that throw right there. It was an offset throw him open. He was perfect. Well, he had played a great game.
Well, I mean, but there are many out there who would, go for it, Steve.
Well, did you see the shot when they showed Archie Manning in the press box?
No, I didn't see that, actually.
Oh, man. During the game, when Peyton was down inside the 5, they showed Archie in the press box, and he couldn't watch. He turned his back, and he was going to the back of it. He was in a box, and there it is. There, he couldn't watch. Yeah. He couldn't watch. And he was so stressed out that then now they had to tell him, oh, yeah, now it's a touchdown. Take the lead. And then I texted Archie after that, and I said, hey, take a deep breath, man. Wow, what a great win.
Because the pressure, obviously on, and it does appear that this is going to be Peyton's final ride, and been one and done for a 10th time in his career. Would have been a very stinging defeat. Yeah. But what do you think his chances of beating Brady and Belichick in this AFC Championship game is going to be, Steve?
So do you want my pick already for next Sunday? I'm leaning towards taking the Patriots, but Tom hasn't beaten Peyton over there in the playoffs. He's 0-2, right, in Denver, and Denver's defense is very, very good. Although the Steelers move the ball with a lot of backups in there.
Yes.
Move the ball like crazy. Ben Roethlisberger, I don't want to call him the toughest quarterback ever to play the game because I think Favre was, but he's right up there somewhere. He's a tough guy, boy. It's going to be another classic game, I got a feeling. I can't wait for this.
But you're leaning Patriots.
Game number 17.
But you're leaning Patriots, right? You're leaning Patriots now.
I'm leaning right now, but you know what? I got to watch the injury report, the weather report, and we'll see. We're going to, just tune in on Sunday. We'll get our picks.
Yep. Steve Mariucci joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Is Cam Newton your MVP from the season? Would you make him your MVP? Okay.
Yeah.
So what'd you think?
Yeah, I would.
What'd you think of yesterday?
Well, Rich, it's not just about numbers. It's not just about – they are the leading scoring team in the league. It's all facilitated by the quarterback. But it's not just about passing yards. It's not just about, they have a good defense. We know that. Usually teams with great defenses don't give a lot of credit to their quarterback. But this team, 16 wins and 1 loss this year. And without Cam Newton, they might win 8. I don't know how many they win. But this guy has really matured and really impressed me, not only as a quarterback, as a passer from the pocket, but as a guy off the field, a guy in his interviews, a guy who gets it. He's really growing up fast. Yes, he has carried this team on his shoulders, and I think he should be the guy that earns that MVP, no doubt in my mind. Now, there's other candidates. Tom had a great year. Russell Wilson, Carson Palmer.
Sure.
They get honorable mention, but Cam's got to win this thing.
What's Ron Rivera's message to the team, Mooch, after giving up 24 second-half points, making that a game that they had already salted away, it looked like, at halftime?
Yeah. First of all, they played a great game. I mean, the score 31-0. Did anybody see that coming?
No.
I mean, didn't we? Most of us pick the Seahawks, right, in that game.
Irv was the only one.
Did Michael Irvin
he lone wolfed.
Michael lone wolf.
He lone wolf.
So, we just thought Seattle would come in there like they played the second half. The Seattle Seahawks played a great game in the second half, like they do in the playoffs. So it was a couple of heavyweights going at it. It was a tale of two halves. Carolina won the first half, Seattle won the second half, and it ended up to be a one-possession game. You know, if your only criticism is that you can't hang on to a 31-point lead, then you're doing pretty good, you know. And that team, they'll be at home. Look at this! This was a miracle play by Russell Wilson. I mean, that was like, what happened there?
You flipped it up to Curse in the end zone as part of that comeback. And Rivera, they're waiting on the results of some tests on Jared Allen's foot, and we can only hope that the Rhinestone Cowboy's healthy enough to continue on. There's word that he's going to be out for the year. So let's talk. I'm with Steve Mariucci here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk about Mike McCarthy's decision to kick the extra point after the Hail Mary. There's many people, including my guys at the Chris Command Center. Dan Patrick had a poll question on his show today. Over half his listeners said that McCarthy should have gone for 2. What do you think, Steve?
Kick it. Go for 2. Really? This is the first time that we're talking about this. We didn't talk about this before. I mean, people thought they should just do or die right there, huh?
Well, not me. No. I think it's perfect 2020 hindsight based on the way that the Packers keep going out in the playoffs with Rodgers tying the game, sending things into overtime, or tying the game, hoping for overtime as it was in the wild card a few years ago, and then never touching the ball again. That happened in the wild card 3 years ago, the AFC Championship game last year, and then this year where Rodgers tied the game and then never touched it again, and they all lost all those 3 times. But, I mean, McCarthy...
This overtime thing.
Yeah? What? You don't like it?
Well, this whole overtime thing. Remember when Brett Favre threw the interception against the Saints, and then they went in overtime, and then the Saints kicked the field goal, and the Favre never got back on the field.
And they changed the rules based off of that. Yes.
So they tried to make it fairer. Still not as fair as college, but it's fairer. Well, hey, if you're gonna win it on the first drive, it can't be a field goal. It's got to be a touchdown. Okay, fine. But now we're saying, okay, well, that's not perfect either, because look at that. Great Aaron Rodgers, twice now in a row in the playoffs, has been sitting on the bench twiddling his thumbs. He has nothing to say about overtime. So, plus I hate overtime. I mean, I hate ties. I wish we'd just play out regular season games. There's only a few ties every year, and let's just eliminate that column in the paper.
But you as a coach, you wouldn't have a problem that if you're playing games out and then suddenly you're playing a 2 overtime game and the other team just blew out a team, that wouldn't be a competitive disadvantage for you to come back the next week and play? You wouldn't have a problem with that?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it would be. It would be. But, if you know you're playing sudden death and just...
Isn't that why you go for 2, Mooch?
But
isn't that why you go for 2? You avoid putting it in a coin toss's hand or a tie where you might not get the ball? You have 2
but
yards.
you got a 50-50 chance of getting the ball with your Aaron Rodgers, and see what happens. And I don't know why we're criticizing him. Go for 2 and lose the game. If he would have gone for 2 and lost, oh my God, we'd be going, what's the matter with you?
No.
Take the easy 94% extra point.
I'm here with
so
Steve.
I would have kicked it.
I'm here with Steve Mariucci. People in New England loved you this week, Steve, because you gave Andy Reid the coaching edge over Bill Belichick on game day morning.
Now, were you sick on Sunday morning, Mooch?
Yeah, no, it was Saturday.
Saturday.
Okay, you know what? I had a justification, okay? Because I said, yeah, Bill, you didn't see the whole thing. I said, Bill, he's got 22 wins in the playoffs. Andy's got 11, fine. But you're as good as your team. And I said, Andy's got 11 wins in a row. And Belichick was 2-4 going down the stretch.
Yeah.
So it's like the hot team. Andy's coaching the hot team. That's why I'm taking Andy.
Yeah, but Mooch, you've seen Andy Reid in a 2-minute situation. You know that he always has clock management issues.
Uh-oh.
No, I wouldn't say always. Yeah, I know.
There's Eagles fans sitting right next to me who would agree with that.
Easy. What Steve? He's a good friend of Steve Mariucci's
I understand. Now. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, or you're just playing devil. So yeah, but how does that happen though, Steve? Again, it's not just Andy. We've seen this before, where teams just can't run a hurry-up offense. How does something like that? How do you huddle up with a minute and a half to go of a playoff game? Do or die, Steve. How does that happen?
So. It's a little bit harder when you're down on the field and it's the crowd noise and you're on the clock and things are happening fast and you got several thoughts in your mind. Look at Alex. You go, what play? You have a red zone offense, okay? You have an inside the the 15, inside the 10, inside the 5 offense, plays that you've practiced. And some of them require motion. Some of them are different personnel groups, and you want to get to one of those plays. Well, you can't do that necessarily with no huddle. Sometimes you got to huddle up and say what the heck it is. And so they wanted a certain play that they practiced. And I suppose they said, let's huddle up and get this one done quickly. If it's incomplete, that'll stop the clock. Yes, sitting in hindsight on the couch eating nachos, you go, just take one of those 3 timeouts. It's really easy to do, and then you can think about it and huddle up all you want. But in the moment, sometimes things happen fast, and so that's what it was. I'm sure Andy would probably say today, yeah, I could have used one of those timeouts there.
Before we let you go, Steve, Chris Webber was on right before you and had a very interesting thing to say when I brought up the Lions. Here we go. Go ahead.
Megatron cannot retire because we would be the only franchise that allowed 2 Hall of Famers to retire before their prime because the organization sucked. I mean, let's just be honest. I've been to the I went to the Million Man March. I went to the Million Man March. But the Million Man March, when we went 0-16, I've had the paper bags in my head. I've been the biggest Lion fan ever, and I think keeping Caldwell was a great thing, but we can't let Megatron go.
There you go. The Million Man March and the Million Man March, Steve. That's where Webber's been too.
That's funny. You know what? I like Chris Webber, and I was at a Piston game, and he was in for one of those on the court. He goes, "Hey, Mooch, I'm a fan." I went, "Really, you are?" And I said, "Listen, why didn't you go to Michigan State? Because you know what? Hey, Rich, Izzo was recruiting the guy, I think, when he was back in like 7th, 8th grade when he was at Detroit Country Day. You remember that?
Of course, yeah.
And at the time, Judd Heathcote was still the coach, and Izzo was like the coach in waiting, and he got a relationship with Izzo through the years, but he wasn't named the head coach yet. He didn't know how long Izzo was going to sit. So he said, I went to Michigan because Izzo wasn't the coach yet. But Chris Webber he's really good on the air too.
Yeah. Plus he probably also had a GPA more fitting for Michigan. Yeah, I just said that.
Stop.
All right, Mooch. Good to see you.
All you guys that couldn't get into Northern.
The Northern Michigan University. All right, Steve, stay right there for the TV audience. We'll explain who the painting of that girl is right behind you. It means a lot to me. Means certainly a lot to me.
Okay.
And we'll play that. We'll put that on richeisenshow.com for all the radio listeners. We'll take a break, come back, and take some more of your phone calls. Hour number 3, Jeff Garland here in person. It's always fun when he stops by.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.